Episode number 141 with Joe LaPinta.
I got X-ray specs for eyes, I can see right through you.
Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. I am joined here by Joe LaPinta, returning guest. Last time we talked to Joe, he was getting ready to head out to Thailand. So thank you for coming back on the show, Joe.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes. So fill us in. The last we talked was several months ago, and you were getting ready to head out to Thailand. You were going to share a house with two other poker buddies, and I remember you sent me the Airbnb on it, and it was quite impressive. It was, if I remember right, it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath place right on the beach. You had your own little pool, and it was like $1,400 a month or something. Is that about right?
Yeah. So actually, a bunch of stuff changed. I think between when we recorded that and then when we actually left. It ended up only being two of us that went out there.
Okay.
But we ended up getting a 2-bedroom that had basically a view that overlooked the mountain, and you couldn't get the beach, but you got like the sunset, and it had a pool up on like the back porch, which was basically at roof height for most of the other houses. So, and we paid like $800 a month for that place.
That's so awesome.
It was a pretty incredible trip. We had a blast.
How long were you out there?
We ended up staying for 2 months. I think the original plan was to stay out longer, but when it was just the two of us, and my roommate had to head back at some point for a wedding. So I was originally going to stay out there if there was more people, but if it was by myself, I decided to just go back with him. Okay.
Too many drinks and Thai girls?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this is like I am unable to ride a motorbike, so I don't know what it is.
Out
I
of
just
fear
like
or ability, is it?
ability. I just like could not figure out how to do it. So when we were out there, I basically either walked wherever I went or I rode on the back of the motorbike that my roommate drove. Mm-hmm. So if he was gone, I would have basically just been walking everywhere, or I've been, paying fees to have a taxi drive me around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't have lasted very long by myself.
I love how you've already adjusted to the lingo of the motorbike, and it's not a motorcycle or a scooter; it's a motorbike now, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. I love it. And you could probably describe a tuk-tuk, right?
Oh yeah, those things are scary.
Yeah, it's a motorcycle basically with a little carriage on the back of it that can hold like probably two people, 3 people if you're cramped. And,
yeah.
Well, 2 is kind of cramped, but they'll fit in as many as they can. For $2, you could go across town.
Oh, and those things fly around too. They're fearless. Those guys.
Yes.
Kind of scary being in the back of those things.
Did you ever hear the term a Thailand tattoo?
No. No, what is that?
That is when you're on the back of a motorbike and your calf or your shin kind of rests just a little bit too close to the muffler, and you just sear your calf with the 2nd and 3rd degree burns. And you see all the tourists out there, they've got a quote-unquote Thailand tattoo. And it's where you can tell that they were a little too drunk when they got on the back of that taxi, and their calf just kissed the hot muffler there.
Oh, yeah. I was actually like really concerned about that when I was riding on the back of my roommates. I was just like, I don't know where I'm supposed to put my feet on this thing, but I'm like really worried that I'm just going to like put my feet in the wheel or something.
I've got a picture that I took from the last time I was out there, and it was quite amazing because there was a family of 5, and Dad was driving, son was on his lap, Mom was behind him holding a baby, and then there was a little girl just barely tucked on the back, and this was all on a motorbike, a little tiny scooter made for one person.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen that exact that exact group.
Oh, it's so awesome.
That and I saw, a bunch of basically 9-year-olds driving motorbikes around, and I'm just sitting there on the back of my roommates, and my roommate's just giving me shit for not being able to figure out how to do it. He's like, "You got 9-year-olds doing it over here. You can't figure it out."
That's awesome. Where were you guys at? You were at Pattaya, or where'd you end up
No.
going?
So we started the
Phuket?
trip in Phuket. We were in a beach town called Kamala Beach.
Okay.
And we were there for about probably 5 weeks, a little bit over 5 weeks maybe.
Okay.
And then we headed to Bangkok for the last 3 weeks.
Okay. Cool. Now, how much poker did you actually get accomplished?
Oh, we actually played a ton of poker.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I played more poker than I would play if I was in New Jersey.
Oh, no
Volume.
kidding.
Yeah, hand-wise anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can play whenever you want. You're not restricted to when the games run. They always run.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play fast fold too, which is really great if you're just trying to cram in volume.
How many tables of fast fold would you play?
I was playing 4 tables.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That's quick.
It took a little getting used to. I started off with 2 and 3, and then eventually worked my way up to 4.
Okay. And how long would you play at a time for?
Probably 2-hour sessions at a time.
Okay. All right.
And take a break, do something, and get back in there.
And get back in it. Yeah. I had Doug Leifert on a couple of weeks ago, and he's gotten into the ignition fast fold. And he said after about 45 or 50 minutes, he's just taxed. And we were trying to figure out how many hands per hour it was, and it's got to be between 600 or 800.
Yeah, I think if you're 4-tabling, you can get pretty close to 1,000.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely exhausting, though. I don't know. It's tough to... You definitely have to get used to it to be playing close to your A game while playing 4 tables. At least for me. I'm not used to playing more than 6 to 10 regular tables.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right on. Did you you pretty much just played cash, or did you play any tournaments, or?
I played cash for basically the entire time we were in Phuket. I played just cash, and then the last few weeks I don't know. I didn't play as much cash, and I was well, I've been here and I haven't played a single tournament, so I might as well play a bunch. So I played the last 2 or 3 Sundays. I played just a bunch of party tournaments with big guarantees. Didn't really have any results, but
Were you playing a lot on stars?
no, I actually didn't play any on stars because I just had a hard time. It was very, very tough to get. I was a little bit unprepared in terms of getting money onto sites. So party wasn't too bad. I actually had my coach was able to put money on and then send it to us.
Okay.
But I had concerns about taking money out of stars if I put money on there. It wouldn't have been as easy to get the money off. So we ended up just not depositing at all onto stars.
So did you just play party, or?
Yeah, we just played party. I mean, the rake back on party is actually pretty great. So it wouldn't make that much sense for us to play stars if we're only going to be there for 2 months.
Okay.
Because we can't really get any sort of rake back deals. And party, you can still achieve 40%, 40 plus percent.
Okay.
So
that's good. That's good.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think I ended up getting I had an affiliate deal too, so I think I ended up getting something 65 to 70% while I was there.
That's damn near free.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. What? How were your results for the 2 months you were out there?
They weren't great. I mean, I was winning a very small amount. I mean, the games were definitely tougher. That's the one thing I learned.
Okay.
I learned that real fast. The games are a lot tougher than they are in New Jersey. I was playing 100 NL pretty much the entire time, and I would say that the 100 NL games were probably tougher than the 500 games in New Jersey, or fairly similar, at least.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which, I mean, Yeah, that in and of itself took some getting used to. Definitely like makes you think a lot about how you're constructing your strategies against those
Yeah.
guys.
Now, the games in New Jersey, you're only playing with other New Jersey players, right?
Right.
Okay, so you got a real small player pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But when you're out in Thailand and you're playing on Party Poker, you're basically playing everyone but the US?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you definitely see the same faces, you see the same regs, but the player pool is much bigger.
Okay. Okay.
And I mean, we don't even get fast fold off in New Jersey because there's just not enough people.
Okay.
Most of the games that run in New Jersey, it's pretty standard to just have like 4 regs and 2 randoms, or even 5 regs and 1 random. And then if you get
Wow.
lucky, you'll find some better games. But during peak hours, it's you're kind of fighting over scraps.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Now, what did you ever get to get out much? Did you get into any of the get to try the food and go to any of the massage parlors, anything like that?
Yeah, so like for the first 2 weeks, I basically got a massage every day.
That's awesome.
It was like $10 an hour. So
Yes.
we basically just started our day. We would like go down to this one restaurant right on the beach, get our like $3, breakfast,
Uh-huh.
and go and get our $10 massage right
Yes.
afterwards. I mean, it was just like we just couldn't get over it. It was just like it was so, I don't know. It was incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah, and the views are just incredible. Like we were right on the beach every day. It was wild.
Yeah. How was the weather?
Weather was like not great. It actually like rained most days, but it would only rain for like maybe an hour or two.
Okay, so you're just approaching the rainy season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got some good days in though.
Okay.
So,
Right on. Yeah, around November, December, I think, is when the monsoons start, and that's nuts.
Yeah.
It's just torrential downpour. It's
yeah,
amazing.
we had a few days that were like pretty bad where it just poured.
Yeah.
Just absolutely poured the entire day. It was actually kind of funny. The last day that we were in Phuket, we got stuck. We like went out to breakfast, and then we're driving back to our place to pack up and leave. And this like crazy thunderstorm hits, and we end up getting stuck at a 7-Eleven for like an hour and a half because it's just raining so hard, and there's like rivers flowing down the streets because we're right on the mountain. So we ended up having to wait it out. We almost ended up missing our flight. We ended up getting there like right in time.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, crazy.
The first time I went to Thailand, it was with my buddy Joe that I travel with every year, and my brother Chris. And we went out on a snorkeling tour, and it was one of those, you pay $25 or whatever, and for the afternoon they give you, they feed you, and they give you a couple of beers and some kayaks, and you do snorkeling and stuff.
Yep.
And we're coming back on the boat, and there's a group of about, I don't know, probably 40 of us or so, and it starts raining. And then it starts raining harder. And then it was the most gnarly rain I'd ever been in my life. It was insane. It was like standing under a shower.
Wow.
Everywhere. It was just like that. Now, at one point, I'll never forget my buddy. He goes up to get a beer at the center of the boat. The boat is just rocking like hell, And so he puts on his mask and his snorkel, and he puts on his fins, and he walks up to he walks up to get a beer, and then he walks back. It was classic. Everyone was laughing.
That's great.
That was the most intense rain I'd ever seen in my life. It was impressive. But we're going to go out there again, I think, for our annual vacation. We've got a new guy that's joining the group, and we're gonna initiate him with Bangkok. And
okay.
yes. Oh, Papa's cherry there.
Oh boy.
Good times. So I think we're gonna hit up Asia a little bit. We'll probably stop in Bangkok, maybe go down to Koh Samui or something to the beaches, and then probably head off to some other country. I don't know. But we haven't done Chiang Mai yet. I've been to Thailand 4 times, and I've never done Chiang Mai. So might head up to the mountains for that. I don't know. But what did you think of Bangkok?
I wasn't really a huge fan of Bangkok, to be honest.
Where did you stay?
We stayed, we stayed very far away from, like, I guess, where, like, the shopping is and everything like that. But we were right on the train line, so we had like a 5-minute walk to the train.
Okay.
But I don't know. It was just like, I think I just like the beach a lot better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Bangkok's like a pretty, I mean, at least in some areas, it's pretty grimy.
Yeah.
And it's certainly got some sketchy characters.
Oh yeah.
So going from like basically paradise with like, just having like $3 breakfast on the beach to kind of having to walk through the slums wasn't exactly the best part of the trip. But yeah, I mean, it was okay.
Did you get to see Soy Cowboy?
No. So the thing about Bangkok for us was that my roommate, he had a pretty rough trip. He ran, I've never seen anybody run as bad as this kid.
Oh.
And he was running like something absurd, like 20 buy-ins below EV
Ew.
after like the first 20,000 hands we played or something. And by the time we got to Bangkok, he had basically run out of money and he wasn't really interested in doing anything. So we actually didn't really do a ton of exploring. We kind of went to like the shopping areas like Siam and
Okay.
a few of the other places nearby, but we didn't really go to any of the nightlife stuff.
Okay. Yeah, they got some really cheap shopping out there. I think it's called Pan Tip. Did you go to that technology building?
I think we did. Yeah, we went to a bunch of the malls in that like Siam area.
Where it's like 7 stories tall and there's just a little booth every 15 feet and they sell anything under the sun, from iPhone cases to computer laptops to Rosetta Stone to whatever you want.
Yeah, we went there. We also went to this, like, there's like a giant market. I think it's supposedly like the biggest market in the world or something like that. And that's like all the way at the end of the train. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was like Jaja Market or something like that.
Okay, cool.
That was pretty neat.
Well, what do you think? Are you going to go back?
I'll definitely go back. I don't know when. I probably won't go there to live and play poker. I think you just can't stay there that long as an American. So like I can only be there for like 3 months at a time, and then I got to move around.
Yeah.
And the cost of getting there kind of mitigates the savings.
Yes. How much was your plane ride out there? Was it like $1,000?
I think round trip it was like $1,200.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we were like, I was really excited to like pay $300 to live in this place for, or each month, which is like a pretty big savings for me in New Jersey. But my plane cost more than the savings. So like I ended up actually like not really saving any money by going out there, except for maybe like given how cheap like food is and everything like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I remember going out there. It might have been my last trip or second to last trip. I met a guy in a bar, and I was getting ready to fly out, and it was his first day there. And he told me he worked on the oil rigs offshore. So he'd work like a week on, have a week off, week on, week off, like that. And the way he described it, it sounded seasonal to me. And he would work for 6 months, and then for 6 months he'd go out to Thailand. And he would pick the best weather time of the year. And he'd just stay out there for 6 months. He rented the same place every time. It was like $1,000 a month. He said it was an awesome place on the beach in Koh Samui, and he just hung out there for 6 months and then he'd go back and work. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like a bad deal.
How did he end up staying out there for 6 months at a time?
Well, he just made enough money when he was working that it's so cheap to live out there. That
oh no, I just mean like with like visa stuff. Like, did he have to do like? I guess he did like a visa run every few months or something.
Yeah,
okay.
He said he'd have to make one visa run because you can only stay out there 3 months, like you said. and 90 days or whatever it is. So on day 89, he would take a quick flight over to Cambodia, stay like the night, and then fly back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the last, the second run of it, day 89, that's when he flew home.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I've thought about that. I've looked into there for buying property there, but you have to be, you have to marry a Thai girl or be a citizen.
Yeah.
And, so it's not too friendly for Americans buying property out there. But, with Airbnb, and it's so cheap, you got to witness it firsthand.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Right on. Well, what's next on the agenda for you?
For right now, I just got back. Well, I got back in August, and I just moved. So I was living just outside of Atlantic City, and I moved up to Bayonne, which is kind of like a New Jersey suburb of New York City, basically right across the river from New York City. So,
okay.
Live poker is not as convenient, but that doesn't really matter too much for me. I haven't been playing too much live, and
what's up, Mikey?
Oh, not too much here. Sorry, I was a little late, Stevie.
It's all good.
How's it going, Mike?
Pretty good. I'm guessing you guys, how long have you guys been talking? We already already been talking about Joe's trip?
Yes, we talked about Thailand, and
I guess I'll have to listen to get a update here because I'm rudely late. But
you know what, guys? Let's
sound like it was an A+ time for sure. Just following Joe on Facebook, looking at all the pics, anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
My suspicion is you weren't playing a lot of poker.
No, actually, I played a lot of poker.
Did you really? Okay.
Yeah. Played more poker than I normally play.
I guess you're just not going to put pictures up of you sitting at a keyboard. So,
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to share the pictures of you. What was the one picture I wanted to ask? It looked like somebody swimming underwater with like a manatee or something.
Oh, that wasn't from Thailand. That was from I think the Florida Keys. That was my brother.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah. That's a cool picture, though.
I'm on my A game here, Steve.
Yeah, I could tell.
Pretty sure they like locate those pictures for you too. They tell you where they're from.
I was, it's hard to watch a baseball game, porn, and look at the Joe LaPinta, Facebook page at the same time. You're not processing everything equally, so.
That's very true. Yeah, 95% of your effort is going into the second one you mentioned.
So, man, when are you leaving the country again? Aren't you itching to go for another adventure here, or what? Are you happy to be stateside?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure yet. I have some stuff going on. Like I have some friends' weddings that I'm in for the remainder of this year, and then after that, I'm not really sure.
Is there another country that you've talked to your buddies? You're like, we could do this same adventure in fill in the blank, or.
Yeah, so we've been talking about the three countries that we've been looking at are the UK. Specifically Scotland, Canada, and Mexico.
Okay.
Mostly because they're closer and we can stay there for like 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more convenient and a little bit more, I guess, efficient, money-wise.
You could only stay in Thailand for 3 months, or what was the?
Yeah, it was 3 months and, around $1,200 round trip for flights.
Yeah, Canada's significantly closer.
Yeah, Canada, we could probably just drive there.
Yeah. Where would you stay in Canada?
I've heard Vancouver is really nice, Vancouver City, but I've also heard it's very expensive.
Okay.
I've heard really good things about Montreal, so possibly there. Calgary. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I haven't done a ton of research yet. But we'll see.
What have you been playing since you've been back? Mostly online or any live?
I played a little bit of live. I took some like half-week trips to Borgata to play some 2-5 and I think I played a few live tournaments. I played a couple live tournaments from the Borgata Poker Open. And then, mostly just doing my thing online, just playing basically whatever is running from like 100 NL to 500 NL.
Okay.
Are the sites comparable? Party Poker and the Jersey sites, are they pretty comparable in terms of competition?
No, definitely not. I was telling Steve, I think like the 100 Zoom pool, maybe not the pool itself, but like the regs in the 100 Zoom pool are about as good as the regs in the 500 games in New Jersey.
Okay.
The games are a lot tougher.
So, how are the overall win rates? Where you just had to play your A game, or you're going to get kicked in the ass a little bit, or do you have to put more tables in to get the same win rate? What was your?
Well, I had to change up a lot of the strategies that I employ in New Jersey. Like, just wouldn't be profitable. I don't think. I think a lot of my cold calling strategy is just like not gonna be profitable just because of the amount of squeezing and just people are playing better post flop. So
right.
A lot of the hands that probably weren't profitable calls, I had to turn into 3-bets, or just folds. And so I made like quite a few changes to my game, and like you could definitely see my stats before and after were pretty significant.
Huh.
Like the differences.
Just a higher 3-bet and
higher 3-bet. I was playing more hands. I was my C-bet strategy was a little bit different. It was like a little bit more. It was like a little bit closer to 50% for all three streets. I had like a much more balanced checking range as the pre-flop raiser.
Okay.
Was this were these all adjustments that you, if you want to pat yourself on the back, like right away, you're like, okay, this is different. I need to make some changes, or did it take a little while and you had to, send some hands to your coach and say, help me out here. What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't something that I picked up right away. Like, it was definitely more like, I'm getting beat up. I need to figure out what is going on or what is happening. And you can kind of sense that, like, all right, this isn't working out. I'm getting squeezed way too often when I'm calling opens, and I'm just like losing a ton of money without even getting to a flop. I need to make some adjustments here. And so I brought like a bunch of situations to my coach, and we kind of like discussed what are going to be some necessary adjustments I need to make going forward.
See, Steve, this is a real pro we're talking about. That's how it's done.
I know.
I hurl my computer at the wall and just yell, "Play differently, please." That's doesn't work.
Fold, damn it, fold.
I saw your relationship status change on Facebook there too, Joe.
Yeah, that's another reason why I don't know what my future travel plans will be.
Oh, excellent. There's a young lady in the sidelines, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. What's her name?
Jess.
Jess. Where did we meet?
I'll let Steve be annoyingly probing here until you smack me.
Oh man. We met online.
Nice. Good.
Nice.
Good. What, Tinder or one of those?
OkCupid.
The what?
OkCupid.
OkCupid. Okay, that must be another one I haven't heard of. Right on. Good for you.
Was she upset when she found out your last name wasn't Trump? How'd you get past that?
She was very excited to find out that wasn't the case.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you're, Baron von,
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Thanks.
Now you met her online while you were in Thailand, or when you came back?
No, we started talking for probably like a couple weeks after I got back.
Okay, cool. She's from Jersey as well?
She's actually originally from Canada, and she's been living she lives in New Jersey now, but she's originally from Canada and Vermont.
Nice.
So.
Very cool. Exotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Right.
Yeah. I've recently re-entered the dating pool, and it's I got a date tomorrow actually.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear about this.
I'm excited. We met once. We went out for drinks, and then I'm gonna cook dinner tomorrow night.
Oh, this is signed, sealed, and delivered. Steve doesn't even have to cook. A woman just sees a spatula in his hand, and she's yeah.
Oh man,
Where'd
you meet this girl, Steve?
Where did I meet her? I actually met her on a fire. We got a fire at work, and there was this cute little girl that came over, and she wanted to know what was going on, and she. So I showed her around and kind of showed her what we're doing. There's a period through a fire where it's extremely chaotic until you get it out, and then you have to wait for an hour and a half for the investigator to drive, to wake up. This happened at 10 at night or something. You got to call out the investigator, and he's at home. He's not.
Well, it's not that chaotic, Steve, if you're sitting 300 yards away talking to chicks.
I was going to say, this could not have been more of a Steve Barton story. Oh, so, I met her on this fire.
Anyways, I told the little girl, I said, when, if you want to come by and visit the station, go ahead. She was 7 or 8 years old. And she and her mom came by, and her mom was all dolled up and just cute as a button. And so we've kind of been talking off and on ever since. And so we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about kids, Steve? Here now, is this possible? Could you be stepdad, or this is? Well, you're not even thinking along those lines, anyways. You're years away from marriage number 2, if it ever happens, right? So,
I'm not. I don't know. I guess I'm not against it. I just, I've just coming off of a divorce. That's so far into the future. I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'm just getting back into dating, and so far I like this girl. She likes me, and we'll see where it goes. I don't know.
Nice.
Okay. Cool beans.
Yeah.
I have a woman's story. I have a woman's story to tell, actually, too.
Oh, do tell.
But it's from 17 years ago, and I can't really remember the details, so I'll have to. I'll spice it up and fictionalize it and save it for next week.
Build the suspense.
It's been a while, Steve.
So
how's the action at the Borgata there?
The action was pretty good last time I was there. Actually, they just changed up the max buy-in for their 2-5 games. They made it a 1,000 cap instead of 500.
That's nice.
Which was very exciting for me.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if you want what your hourly in that game was probably just gone from $40 to $60 or $70, hasn't it? When they do that. No.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
I think so. Yeah, I think probably 40 to 60 sounds pretty reasonable, or maybe 40 to 55, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't play that much live, so it's not a huge thing for me. But
right. Well, I was going to say, when you can play from your home and not have to go anywhere, I guess that's and at any time and not worry about getting on the board and other things.
Yeah. But I mean, for when I do go down there, it's pretty great. I had kind of sworn off Borgata because I just I couldn't stand playing 500 cap 2-5. So I would either go to Parks and play the 1K games over there, or just not play live. Actually, I went to MGM and checked that place out and played 2-5 there. But yeah, I just wasn't. I had no intentions of playing at Borgata for a while, and then I just kind of stumbled upon the fact that they have 1K games, so it's supposed to go.
You never bother with the 5-10 there, even during the tournament series, when I think there's if the cliches are true, there's a bunch of spewy tournament guys throwing money around.
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, when I said I play so little live, and I
right.
The last time I was there, I played two cash game sessions, 8 hours apiece, and then I played a tournament, and then after the tournament, I just sat in my room and played online for the next 2 days. I just didn't want to play any more live poker, so I don't know. I just have a very short fuse for live poker.
You put on your boxers and you didn't take them off.
What's that?
I said you put on your boxers and you didn't take them off. That's all you had to wear for 2 days. And
Yeah, that was
didn't
it.
even have to throw on a shave, nothing.
Nope.
Have you had any struggle ever, Joe, with like some of the? I mean, I've repeated the same thing over. Well, Steve's always pretty much told me the same thing, that the Poker Pro thing is really about. Of course, it's about studying and knowing the game, but it's really about like game selection and bankroll management and tilt control. And have you had any? You seem like just the coolest cat ever, like the true pro. Have you any of that stuff ever been like an issue for you? Any leaks there? Or?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been an issue. I think it hasn't manifested itself in me the same way it does in other people. I think like one of my biggest problems was that I just had a hard time putting in long sessions, especially online. I would just kind of get anxious and not want to be sitting at my computer anymore. And I started doing a little bit of meditation before my sessions to kind of like keep myself a little bit more relaxed.
Really?
Kind of kept me in the zone a little bit, so I could put in at least like an hour and a half to 2 hours before taking a short break.
Good for you.
There's never because if you have a little bad stretch, and it seems like it takes in cash games, it takes a while to rebuild through a bad stretch. It just seems. I mean, have you ever had like a miserable few week period online where you're like, geez, let's just jump up in level. Let's just jump up to a bigger game and fucking, I'm due for some run good. I can win it back quicker.
I've had a few, like this year actually, to start the year, I had like the first like 3 months, I basically broke even. It was the most frustrating thing I'd have had to deal with in, online. And, I just kind of kept at it. I mean, I kind of like played a little bit less volume. And just try to like make sure I was putting in good hours, and it kind of like fixes itself as long as you don't beat yourself up.
Right.
Yeah.
Assuming that you're playing pretty well.
What's your routine for meditating? Are you kind of like the Ben Reason, sit on the edge of your bed and just try to think of nothing, or do you listen to tapes, or what do you do?
Yeah, I was actually using Prime Mind.
Okay.
The Fedor. Yeah.
Right on.
It's funny, I had tried meditation before and it just like I just couldn't get into it. And then something about just listening to him specifically on those tapes just kind of like, I don't know, just gets you to another place. It was pretty effective.
Right on. Well, I'm going to throw in a little plug here now that we're speaking of Elliot Roe. How's that segue? Copy The Best Players in the World and Joe LaPinta. Meditate before you play. Elliot Roe. Yes. I will not play a hand of poker unless I listen to that man's voice first. I don't care how homoerotic that sounds. Meditation tapes just before you play. Get in the right mindset so that you can focus on poker. Listen to an MP3 before you play. You can put it right on your phone, your computer, your tablet. He's got MP3s for everything. Relaxing the Poker Mind, Hypnosis for Life Value Pack, the Simple Volume System. Maybe you need to be playing more. You can try his Poker Mind Coach courses and get all his MP3s. Try it for free. There's no obligation. Listen to his 7-minute Tilt Buster. You put it right on your phone and listen to it. It's free from me to you. This is the next step in poker, The Mindset Advantage by Elliot Roe. Use the code HUPOKER. Score yourself a discount. You'll find a link in the show notes, HUPOKER. Right on. That feels good to hear you say that, Joe.
Hey, Joe, if they made a documentary about your life, who would you want to do the narration? Morgan Freeman or Elliot Roe?
Oh,
those are two beautiful musical voices. They're right there.
I've always been a really big fan of Morgan Freeman's narration. Yeah. I gotta go with him.
Sorry, Elliot. Nothing personal.
Right up there as well. The greatest actor ever.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, you just had a heads up match recently, didn't you, Mikey?
Yeah, I just very frustrating. Last night I came in second in a 20K, which I guess is good. But I had a pretty decent chip lead. Heads up. I've had a lot of second places, so I want to do some studying with that. Maybe I'm thinking of hiring Daryl Jace or somebody to. You lose a lot of equity there if you're not good at that heads up stuff, I think.
There's only one guy that's satisfied with the tournament. It's the guy that ships it. Anything else that you're just constantly questioning yourself. Well,
yeah, but it's not a matter. It's a matter of just looking a tough-minded look at it, and that I'm just, I'm not real good at heads up, so it's time to. That was Mark always said. He said I would double my ROI if I studied heads up just for blind versus blind play and late game stuff. So
Yeah.
it's time to do that. Invest some money there.
Oh, was it on ACR?
Yes, it was a $22 tournament on ACR, I think.
Perfect. So you got the HUD and everything.
Yes, we got to do that.
Right on.
What was I going to say? I don't know, Steve. I'm out. You got any hands for us, Steve?
I do actually. I got one here. Okay. You guys ready? I'm excited. Yep. I'm literally rubbing my hands together right now. Okay. My favorite.
I hope on the never mind.
Okay. We got Jack 10 offsuit.
Wait, Steve. I'm sorry. What are you cooking for the lady, by the way? I got to make a mental note here.
Well, it's actually surprise. Oh, you know what? She's not going to. She's not coming over until after this comes out, so I won't spoil it. I'm going to cook a spaghetti with sausage, and I started cooking spaghetti recently. I got a bunch of tomato plants out back, so I'm going to do it all from scratch. So you get the tomatoes, cut them up, kind of dice them into like 1/4-inch cubes, and you throw them in a pot with a little bit of water, and throw the sausage in there. Onions diced up real good, bell peppers. What else do we put in there? It comes out different every time, but when you make it from scratch, you got to put in certain seasonings or it's not going to taste like spaghetti. It's just going to taste like you're eating raw tomatoes. So oregano is a big one. What's another big one in there? Bay leaves. Those kind of give it the spaghetti like Italian taste. And then I just kind of go through the cupboard and look what other seasonings I got, and I toss them in there, salt and pepper and stuff like that. But you got to let the tomatoes kind of boil and cook for quite a while. But it just gets this right consistency in it. Oh, and I'll probably throw some ground beef in there too. And then for the noodles, I've kind of been on this health kick lately, and I did some research on pasta, and apparently it's horrifically bad for you. I say that as I'm sipping a beer right now, but if you cut up like squash or zucchini, and you cut it up real thin, then it kind of makes like vegetable noodles. You just fry them in a pan of olive oil for maybe 3 or 4 minutes on high, and it comes out really good. Throw some olives in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, isn't pasta kind of can be a messy meal there? But hey,
when you get messy, you got to take a shower.
Right. Okay. Joe, are you taking notes, Joe? If you ever get in a fight with your lady, you can make her a good dinner rather than just yelling at her to go to Papa Gino's and pick you up a pie. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that was impressive. Yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty big, I'm a stickler when it comes to my spaghetti and sauce. So that sounded pretty impressive.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, there is something to that aspect of like if you're gonna go on a day date, to go somewhere where it's kind of dirty's not the right word, but where you're gonna get kind of sandy or sweaty, because it opens the opportunity for having to go back and change and take a shower. That always becomes a possibility. You know what I mean? Like if you're at the beach and you're all sandy and, it's good to have a football there or a soccer ball or a volleyball or something to kind of work up a little endorphins. And
Gotcha.
Then it opens the opportunity later on in the day for, well, I just live right up the street. Let's go back. I got to change clothes for you and I'll cook dinner.
I once deliberately slammed my head into an Applebee's bar just to create a little blood there, so I had to go home. But it didn't. This is why I've totally embraced the Carlos low-hanging fruit philosophy here. There's just too much. No, that is really brilliant though. I like that.
It's not my own. I heard it somewhere. I don't know where, but I adopted it, and it's gold. It really works.
I remember one of the PUAs, Steve, along you had if you can ever start a date with the woman somehow just swinging by your place, and like during the day where it's even if you're there for like 10 seconds, walks in the door and she just knows where it is. So like later, if you say somehow I want to go back to my place, it's like she's already been there. It's already a comfortable place.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty slick right there.
That is huge, and it's so small and it's so easy. But when they get there, you just say, "Hey, I just got to grab something real quick." So you kind of like lead them into the house. They get to see the living room. They get to see the TV room, the kitchen, real quick. You run into the bedroom or whatever and pretend to grab your keys. And then you're like, okay, let's go. And they're like, oh, wow, every other guy that's invited me into his house, he's always offered me a drink. And it's always, at that point, they're on the defensive. And they're like, I need to kind of go. But when they see it, and then you leave, it's this familiar place, just like you said. And there's some last minute resistance that always comes up. And when you do that, it seems to just kind of do away with it.
Right.
And very good tip. Very good tip. Okay, let's see, where are we here? I'm all sidetracked now. Okay, we're in a tournament. Blind levels are 100, 200. We've got Jack 10 offsuit, and we've kind of been fairly active, I guess, and but the table's been pretty passive. Not the players in the blinds, but the rest of the ones behind us are pretty tight. So we got Jack 10 off, and we are in the hijack. We raise it up into 1-200. We raise it to 555, and it folds around to the big blind, who calls. The big blind stats, we got 100 hands on him. He's got 57 big blinds, and he's a 24-18, 8.3.
How many big blinds did you have? I'm sorry, you probably told me.
No, I've got 29 big blinds. He's got 57, so he's got us covered. Now, is this? I mean, at a passive table, I was probably raising down to like 8-7 suited here. Does that sound right to you guys? Or
Yeah, I think that sounds fine, assuming that the people behind you are pretty tight.
yeah, we've got a 16-8, a 15-7, and then a 10-5. And then the big blind is the one with the 24-18.
Yeah, that's probably fine. I mean, I'm probably opening smaller.
Okay.
If I am going to open that wide, but I mean, yeah, I think it seems reasonable.
Okay. All right. We make it 555. The big blind calls. The total pot now is 1370. And we've got the Jack of Clubs and the 10 of Hearts. The board comes out 8 of Clubs, 8 of Hearts, 5 of Clubs. Okay. And the big blind checks. Into 1370, we've got 5100 behind. That's the effective stack. What do you guys think here?
I'm just going to listen to what Joe says and agree.
Okay, I think probably sizing somewhere around like 500 or 600.
Okay, and what's your reasoning for betting this?
I mean, this board, like, presumably he's like calling fairly wide out of the big blind, and he should have. I mean, this board I think gives him a lot of folds, and so we don't really need to be sizing too big. We're probably going to be betting most of our range. We have, like, not really relevant blockers, like, somewhat relevant, I guess, to blocking maybe some 8 combos, but, yeah, I just don't think you need to size very big. He's going to have a ton of hands that are just going to have to check fold here anyway. Okay.
All right. I thought the same thing. I thought that, we've got a backdoor mid-club draw. We've got 2 overs. Since there's a pair on the board, it's unlikely that he's got any of this. Yeah. Okay. I bet 622 into 1370. And villain calls. So what do you guys put him on at this point?
I mean, I would assume lots of weak 1-pair hands and maybe some ace highs. Maybe some. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say like what people are going to be check raising there. I mean, some people just like won't have a check raising range, so like you could still have some 8x and some like straight draw combos and flush draw combos. But yeah, I mean there's still a lot of weak hands in that range, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking like low pairs up to sevens, a 5. Yeah, like you said, some backdoor draws, maybe an ace high. Like he floats once with an ace high, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quickly here, maybe this will make it confusing, but since I'm playing a lot of cash lately, I'm just wondering, Joe, is this ever a board where, if you have like King 10 suited, not really too much, maybe a backdoor flush or a couple overs or something. Is this ever a pot you're floating pretty wide with? Because, first of all, you got more 8s in your range.
If I'm big blind?
Yeah. Or you just you want to flop some
I,
equity here, or you're done with it.
Maybe if I have a backdoor, like if I have king, what's the backdoor? Heart? If I have king 10 of hearts,
club.
maybe?
If
club.
you have 2 hearts, yeah.
Yeah, if I have like king 10 of hearts, maybe, but like, I mean, if I'm just sitting here with king 10 of diamonds, check calling is going to be pretty. There's just not like a lot of upside to calling, I don't think.
Okay, I was just curious.
I would check fold King 10 of diamonds there.
Yeah, but I would probably check call King 10 of clubs, or King 10 of hearts, rather.
So yeah, I was thinking donk lead King 10 of hearts. Is that bad?
I mean, I just don't really have I just don't personally have a donking range, especially on like this type of board. I think if I'm gonna have a donking range, it's gonna be a board that like way more heavily favors, or at least is way more neutral. So like an 8-7-5 type board, I might have a donking range, but like
I'm just saying, like,
is still pretty favorable for the preflop raiser.
Okay.
I'm just from the big blind's perspective. If you're playing against let's just say a kind of typical good player on ACR, his like hijack open is going to be pretty high, 35-40%, and he's going to be c-betting pretty high. So it's just like they've just got so much air. Yeah, I agree with you. I was just not necessarily means you're going to be fighting back with king high. There's better ways to use those chips.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I agree with Joe's assessment of what his calling range is.
Okay. All right. So the flop was 8 of clubs, 8 of hearts, 5 of clubs. We've got jack of clubs, 10 of hearts, and we c-bet, villain calls, and the turn is the 7 of clubs.
Quickly before. Now, when you're c-bet and you get called, Joe, do you immediately have like which cards are you probably double barreling, and which are you kind of giving up on, or is you not double barreling that often because with 2 8s on the board it just doesn't make sense?
Yeah, I'm probably not double barreling a ton of turns. I'll probably double barrel like any queen, or well, I guess probably not the queen of clubs, but any other queen. Probably any king. That's probably it. I'll probably also bet either a jack or a 10 turn.
Jack or 10 turn. What about a 9, giving us an open-ender?
9, I think I probably just take the free card.
Okay. But with the queen out there, if it's not a queen of clubs, we're now... well, we got a gut shot then, huh?
Yeah, I think the reason that I don't want to bet the 9 specifically is just because the 9 hits too much of his range.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think I'd rather just take the free card on the 9. But on the queen is like a pretty good card for our range, and it also gives us a little bit more equity versus some of his weak one pair hands. So. I would probably barrel that card, and also like he doesn't really have any Queen X in his range, or King X, so like that's the reason that I would probably want to be barreling those turns.
Okay. All right.
But like an ace, I'd probably check back and potentially bluff river.
Okay. Yeah, I think an ace is kind of about the same for him as us, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the pot is 26-14. The flop was, again, we've got jack of clubs, 10 of hearts, and the flop was 8 of clubs, 8 of hearts, 5 of clubs. and the turn is the 7 of clubs. So our beginning backdoor of a flush draw is coming in. We need a 9 now to hit a straight, a club to give us a 4th best flush, and villain checks.
Yeah, I think I'm just taking free one here.
Mikey?
That sounds pretty good. I mean, I think if you're going to bet, Joe, do you have to like jam most rivers because of stack sizes? You could, like, if you bet here, you could make it, size it for the river jam, so it's a 1-to-1.
There's 2,600 in the pot, and we got 45 behind.
Okay, well,
we'd have to bet pretty small.
Yeah, if he calls turn, he should not be folding many rivers for sure.
Yeah, we'd have to bet like 12 or 1,300. No, even less than that.
Yeah, I think often the hands that he's gonna like call turn, he's probably just gonna like stick the money in.
Right.
Okay.
That's kind of why I don't really like barreling too many cards.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I checked behind as well, so I'm going to pat myself on the back there. And the river is the Queen of Clubs. So the final board is 8 of clubs, 8 of hearts, 5 of clubs, 7 of clubs, Queen of clubs. We have the Jack of clubs, 10 of hearts. So we backdoor to flush. It's the 3rd nut flush, but there's a pair on the board. But villain really hasn't shown any strength. And he checks again.
How much is in the pot?
2,600, and we got 55 behind, or 45 behind. A little less than 2-to-1 stacked to pot.
2,600. I think I'm definitely leaning on the small side here.
You're definitely betting though. You're not checking back.
We're trying to get called by a.
I think I am betting here because I think that he doesn't really have too many combos that have the King of Clubs or the Ace of Clubs. So, like, the only reason that I would consider checking is if I think that this guy is just going to be putting us in some really ugly spots by check shoving this river. But if that's not like something we know, I think I'm just definitely betting here. But I'm betting very small. Like, I'm betting into 2,600. I'm probably betting like 1,000.
Yeah. Okay.
It's definitely a bet. It's definitely a bet fold though against this villain. We think, right? Because he's.
Yeah, I think it has to be. Yeah. I think he has a lot of incentive to check, both like full houses and like nut flushes here.
Okay.
Maybe not so much nut flushes, but well, yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely incentive to slow play in his spot.
Okay. Yeah, I really like your sizing of 1,000. If anything, I think that's the biggest it should be. Probably even because really, what are we getting called by here? Like, we're hoping to get called by like the 10 of clubs, the 9 of clubs, 8 of clubs is out there, 7 of clubs is out there. Like a crying call from 5-6 with the 6 of clubs or a pair of fives. I don't know that he's ever calling with a pair of fives there. I think we just got to make it super small and just hope to get called by pocket sixes or something. You know what I mean? Like, unless river to queen, like, I guess. But what queens really does he have in his range there?
Well, I think like he still has like quite a few club combos. They're just like all small clubs.
Yeah.
So like he has deuces with a club, threes with a club, fours with a club, sixes with a club, 7-6 maybe. Although 7-6 offsuit might not be calling out a big blind, but yeah.
Well, if he did call 7-6, that's an open ender on the flop.
Right. I'm just kind of questioning whether or not he would be calling pre-flop facing like what is almost 3x.
Okay.
I think if you had min open, then yeah, he could probably have 7-6.
He could still have an 8, just a naked 8. Too, which the club slowed him down a little on the turn. Maybe he was planning on check raising the turn, but you didn't bet it, kind of thing.
Oh, that's a thought. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I like your small sizing there. I went too big. Into 26 I bet almost 1800. I bet 1777 and he folded. He did take a little while though. So yeah, I think the move here after we dissect his range was to like you said bet bet a 1K, 999 or like 888, something like that. And yeah, he ended up folding.
If you're the villain there, Joe, and let's just say you did have ace 8, probably not to that sizing, but if your opponent bets small, are you ever turning trips into a bluff there with the full house blocker, or is that like 7th level stuff, which just is not needed probably in the games we play?
I think I would have to know my opponent pretty well, though, to do that. I think it's definitely something that I would consider, but I would have to be certain that they're not just going to like bet call with a king of clubs or something like that.
Right.
So I'd have to know my opponent, but it's definitely a possibility.
This is the problem that I'm friends with a couple of the 10-25 game players, so I get to hear all the real high end stuff, and you'll hear about this. Yeah. Oh well, I check shove for 17,000 with the nut full house blocker or something like that. And I will level myself out of many pots naturally now when I play these $20 tournaments. But
yeah, I try to only make those plays versus other regs.
Okay,
makes sense.
Yeah. I got one more here. I'm out of the big blind, but first I'm going to tell you about Tournament Poker Edge. You play tournaments, I play tournaments. Tournament of Poker Edge. It's in the name. It gives you an edge in tournaments. Watch instructional videos and learn from the pros. Danny N13 has a new live sweat series that just came out, and if you're not familiar with the TPE lingo of live sweat, it's basically he's got 4 tables up and he's playing live, and you get to watch along as he plays and makes real-time decisions, and he walks you through the process. It's really good. He's on his 2nd video now. I've watched both of them. 3rd one is coming out soon. Go through the videos, check them out. There are hours of them. When you join the club, you'll get access to almost 2,000 videos. There's tournament theory, tournament strategy. It's just a fun group of guys that get together on the site, and we all talk poker tournaments. When you join, use the code HUP month, HUP quarter, or HUP year, depending on how long you sign up for. SYSC, man, save yourself some cash. Study and learn with other people that are just like us. This will be the best thing you've ever done for your tournament game. I guarantee it. Okay, this one is, we're in the big blind. Blind levels are 125, 250. And with the antes, the total pot right now is 550. It folds around to the button who min raises. So he makes it 500. And the small blind folds, and it's on us. And we have ace 9 offsuit. Okay, our stack size, we've got 33K, 33 big blinds, and the button opener has 88 big blinds. So we're playing 33 effective. Now this guy, after 139 hands, he's been really active. This is, if I remember right, this was a smaller tournament, and we're approaching the bubble. So if the top 10% pay, we're probably around 17 to 15%.
At 150, at 125, 250? Yeah.
I remember him. I'd have to run through the whole series, but I remember there wasn't too many people playing this tournament, and it reached it pretty quick.
Okay.
Now his stats after 139 hands, he's a 55, 26, 9.5. Super active. He min raised to 500. We got 33 bigs with ace 9 offsuit. What are you guys doing here?
I think I'm just calling.
Mike?
I'd be curious to know what Mike thinks.
I mean, shoving's profitable. if you want. I don't know. I mean, not that he's active. Have you seen him actually do anything really spewy, like win a big pot just by
Not
calling
at
a 3-bet
point
with?
in the tournament yet.
Yeah.
Not at this point yet.
I don't know. I'm not very confident in my game these days, Steve. This is something I've been thinking about. My 3-bet from the blinds is very high against late position opens, and I am often just 3-betting with every ace, without even thinking about it. Other than a few big aces and a couple ace 7 suited or something, but yeah, flatting's probably it. But I don't think 3-betting is a mistake.
Yeah, see, I tend to, and maybe this is wrong, you guys tell me, if I'm more likely to 3-bet like these middling offsuit aces, so like ace 9 through ace 6 offsuit, I'm much more likely to 3-bet than I am to call. And like the wheel aces, I'm more likely to call with, like suited wheel aces, stuff like that. Now, like if this was ace 9 suited, I could see myself 3-betting or flatting there. But with this ace 9 offsuit, now that I think about it, I don't know that I'm ever flatting this. I think I'm always 3-betting it.
Well, against the guy who's opening, I don't want to speak for Joe. He's just opening probably, especially late position, 70% of the hand here. You're so far ahead of his range.
Right.
I mean, you almost want to continue with the hand, Joe, against a guy like this, or?
I mean, I guess like my biggest concern is just like what happens when we 3-bet. We're at like a stack depth that we get into some pretty tricky spots, and our sample is not so big that we are like very certain as to like what his continuing range is versus our 3-bet, or even really like what his like 130 hand is like decent for pre-flop numbers, but you're gonna
probably only been 3-bet 5 times at this point, and that is just not a big sample, right?
Yeah, maybe even less. Like I don't know, depending on how the table's playing, but or yeah, probably less actually. But yeah, so then you're just gonna get yourself into these like really sticky spots where you're playing out of position with a hand that doesn't really flop all that well. I mean, you can flop top pair, but you're not going to have boards that you like really want to be barreling. And you're going to have like very small, very low effective stacks when you 3-bet against a guy that we don't know much about, but is probably likely to continue fairly often.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I like flatting, is just because I think it's way easier. Like, we know it's a profitable flat, and it's going to be very easy to play ace 9 offsuit in a single raise pot versus this guy. But playing it in a 3-bet pot gets really tricky without information, and I mean, if it turns out that this guy is playing like a reasonable strategy, then I think ace 9 offsuit probably becomes a pretty bad 3-bet, I would think, or at least bad compared to calling. I'm not certain of that, but
okay. Yeah, I thought just with numbers like this, I'm so far ahead of his range, I'm just going to 3-bet. And the fallacy I made was I didn't think to myself, well, what if I do if he flats and now we take a flop, or what do I do if he 4-bets me? I just had it in my head. He's probably folding here more often than he actually is, especially with 55, 26, 9.5. I mean, you're right, after 139 hands, that's not a huge sample, but it definitely says this guy likes to see flops.
Let me ask Mike a question. So like, if you're the villain on the button, and like, let's say, you're playing against yourself basically, and you're the big blind, you have ace 9 offsuit, are you 3-betting that hand against yourself?
Yeah, because I think I'm folding more I'm making more of these spots, trying to flat 3-bets less often. where it's like 4-bet or fold. So I would be getting a lot of folds for myself here. So
Okay.
but maybe but at this stack depth, you're right. That's a spot where if I'm the opener here, I should be flatting quite a bit because you can almost just call just any c-bet they make with any sort of equity you have, and they're just in a horrible position on the turn.
Right. Yeah, I think like if we were like 25, what would you do like 25 big blinds effective here? Because I think I'm probably pretty comfortable just ripping.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
But 30 just seems to put you in just kind of like you're letting him leverage 33 big blinds for the price of 2. So it's like it's a pretty big disaster to shove, I think. And yeah, like 3-betting just doesn't seem super attractive, but I don't play that many tournaments, so I don't know.
Well, you've got some pretty damn good scores, Joe. So don't sell yourself short here. But, yeah, I thought the same thing. I remember when this hand came up, I'm like, I really wish I had like 22 to 25 big blinds right now because I know I could just slide the bar all the way over to the right and click all in, and I'm just printing money.
Yeah.
But with 33, I felt like that was too much. You might be right, Mike. I mean, it probably is a profitable shove. Maybe we're making like a third or half a big blind or maybe even more. But it just felt like too much to me to rip here.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think this is a spot where if Carlos 3-bets, the chips are getting all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's always betting flop and then ripping turn. I don't want to speak on his behalf. I think he likes those spots better with maybe 40 to 50 bigs. But yeah, just the theory that most villains, if their people aren't just going to be patient, and you're never going to slow play the nuts. So they're always capped if they just call your 3-bet and your c-bet, and you can kind of confidently rip turns often. But I don't know. I like the flat.
Okay. Well, let's say you guys 3-bet. What would your sizing be?
Probably like 7 big blinds.
Okay.
7 or 8 maybe. 8 might be too much.
I've been 3-bet. My 3-bet sizing's been pretty big out of position now. I'm like 3.2 often.
Okay.
So what was his bet?
His bet was 500. So the blinds are 125, 250.
I'm probably making it 16, 22 or something. Actually pretty big.
Okay. I've been doing that recently as well. I don't know if it came from the Alex episode or what, but I made it 1777. So I went more than 3x. And now this is kind of I don't want to say a standard sizing I've adopted because it's only been a couple of weeks, but I am making it bigger out of the blinds when I 3-bet a late position opener. So I made it 1777, and Villain raises back 4667, and we've got 64 behind. So he's basically putting us all in. What do you guys think here?
I think I'm just folding. I don't think like ace 9 is.
Have you 3-bet him before, like in the last orbit or two?
No.
No, you haven't?
I haven't.
I guess I would lean towards a full. If I had 3-bet him in any time in the previous 10 hands, I'm probably ripping.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like, yeah, I mean I guess it's like a little bit of the reason that I lean towards calling is just because.
What do you do when he does this?
Yeah, even when like anything other than a fold is kind of like not particularly great. So if the result that we're looking for is a fold, then does it really matter that much like what our actual hand is? You know what I mean? Like if we have ace 9 here, is it really any different than like king deuce? Outside of just the fact that we have like a blocker, I guess, or it plays like a little bit better post flop, but like there's not a huge difference. So if the only the only good result really is a fold, like the fact that we have ace 9 offsuit doesn't really.
Yeah, do it with a
seem
hand
to
that has
play
a lot less equity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I instantly when he ripped right there, I'm like, I thought to myself, well, maybe I should have called there. But this stack size just seems so awkward having 33 bigs in this spot. You know, like we're saying, 25 or less, it just feels like a rip to me, and it sounds like it does to you guys too. But with 33. At the time, calling didn't seem right because it was this offsuit ace. Maybe I've got like this subconscious rule in my mind where I just automatically 3-bet ace 9 off through ace 6 off, and I don't even think twice about it. That's probably what it is. And yeah, okay, all right. Well, I end up folding, but yeah, this seemed kind of interesting. Looking back after I get another like 50 hands on this guy, I see that. This was like, I don't want to say the first hand where he just started playing like nuts because his numbers are already 55, 26, 9.5. But he just made this horrific call with pocket sixes. And then I realized that he must have somewhere to go because he's he's just dumping his stack. I mean, he's the big stack at the table by far. And it looked like his goal was to get rid of him as fast as humanly possible. So there was like 10 hands later where I was thinking, that ace 9 off was probably way ahead of whatever the hell he had, but I just didn't know it at the time.
So when you have Joe, a guy like that at the table,
Yeah.
who's just, let's just say, opening half the deck, is it probably, if anything else you're changing, it's like you're not 3-betting more, it's just like you're now maybe flatting, I don't know, king, if he's early position, maybe like king 10 off is something you would normally fold from the hijack or something, but he's opening king 6. Is that, you know what I'm saying? Is that kind of how you maybe alter your game, not 3-betting more, but just trying to see more flops with decent hands, which become very strong against his range?
I think like I might be 3-betting a little bit more, but it's going to be like a more linear range. So, I mean, it depending on positions, but like let's say I 3-bet like 9s plus normally, and like ace jack plus. I might like add in like king queen king jack ace 10, and then probably like 5s or 6s plus. So like I think I do 3-bet more. I just don't want to be 3-betting the hands that I think are going to put me in like really uncomfortable spots. So yeah, it's kind of, I guess like ace 9 is pretty close. Like I can definitely see a case for 3-betting it. Like me personally, I just feel really comfortable flatting, and I know I'm going to be able to play well enough post flop that flatting is going to be profitable.
Right.
But I think that against a player who, if we assume he's going to be like not folding, or at least folding probably less frequently than most people, I don't mind 3-betting more. It's just going to be more linear. I'm going to have way less bluffs.
Hands that you're more likely to be able to call a 4-bet shove?
No, not even necessarily that. Just hands that I think are going to play well post-flop. And, I mean, a lot of them will be hands that I will get it in with. So, like, most of those pairs I will probably go ahead and 3-bet call off with. And, like, all of my suited, or all of my Broadway aces, probably. Or maybe not ace 10, I don't know. But I don't want to 3-bet hands that are going to feel like 3-bet bluffs.
Queen 9 suited kind of stuff. You want to see a flop of those for sure.
Right.
Okay. What about like king queen off here? You'd be 3-betting that. Would you call that off? I'd be more likely to call a shove. Yeah, if you 3-bet king queen off, I'd be more likely to call a shove with that than I would with ace 9 off. Is that bad thinking, or?
No, I mean, I think they're probably pretty similar in terms of like equity versus arrange.
Okay.
I don't think there's too much difference. I wouldn't imagine.
Okay. What about king queen suited? Are you flatting that here?
No, I think like king, like if I had to like make a decision on king queen, I think like king queen suited I'd probably just go with, and then I'd make some, I don't know, some determination with king queen offsuit. But I think it's like one of those hands that's going to be pretty close. So the suited combos are definitely going to go in,
Okay.
and then make a decision with the rest of it.
Offsuit 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
Did you know anyone in Vegas during the shooting, Joe? I don't know if we want to end on such a note of horror here, but I was just, it seems like everybody.
My roommate was out there, but he was not, anywhere near where it took place, so he's fine.
There's a lot of pissed off gamblers in that town. I actually had a conversation at the table when the Orlando shooting was there, when we were in Vegas during that time, and I'm like, I don't know, we were looking, me and this guy we were kind of joking, like the Rio's a perfect place, man, if you want to rack up a body account. Not that I'm making light of the situation, but
yeah, I had a few guys from work that were out there. They were at the concert and the shooting started, and one of them, he was with this girl, and she he kind of took the other approach. They both kind of ducked down and covered. He tried to cover her from where he thought the shots were coming from, and he said it was just like a stampede. And he's like, well, we can either run with the masses and risk getting trampled because people are tripping and then other people are just running over them, or we can hunker down and wait for the mob to pass and then we can go. And he's an off-duty fireman, and he ended up finding a guy that, he was out there. Basically, he just went into fireman mode and started. People were handing him shirts so he could do tourniquets and stuff. It sounded pretty gnarly. But my brother's fiance's sister was out there. Luckily, she was at the bar, so she was kind of far away from where the shooting was. But hearing the firsthand accounts, it was no joke. I don't know what that guy's deal was. We'll never know. Luckily, he killed himself, so we don't have to run him through the court system. But it's a bummer. It's a bummer. I just got off the phone with my brother actually before this podcast, and he said the whole city, because it happened in Vegas, and there was 22,000 people there, so everyone knows someone else that was at least there, and most of the people know somebody that was at least shot. And he said the whole mood of the city is just kind of somber, But they're on the bright side. I guess the hotel rooms might be a little bit cheaper in the near future.
Too soon, Steve. Too soon.
Too soon? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty horrible stuff there. But anyways, yeah, that's what it makes it so. Well, whatever. I mean, I don't know if you saw CNN is not made a decision to stop using the guy's name in showing his pictures. I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, there's going to discuss his motivation, but right now there is just kind of a lurid desire to, what did he want? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. It's interesting because if you take the total number of people that died in car accidents that day, it's got to be more than 59 people. But
yeah, probably.
That is something that, I don't know, this instance, I think what makes it so confusing or big is that it's just like, why? Like a car accident is that's just an accepted risk that we take. But This is just so random, and I don't know. I don't get it.
Well, sadly, there's a lot of people who treat these now like car accidents. Like, well, this is what it means living in a free country. This happens once every 3 days.
Yeah, maybe.
So they're treating it the same way. Well, we've got, we need our highways, we need our cars. It's like now we need our guns, and thank God 99% of people are lawful gun owners. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, some of the pro-gun stuff really gets me angry. So
yeah, there's definitely going to be some more security at the casinos. That I'm not looking forward to. It's This is I think on a whole new level. This is the casino's version of that asshole that took bombs in his shoes on the plane. Now we all got to take off our shoes for the TSA because one Yahoo decided to hide a bomb in it.
Right.
There's going to be, and it's weird. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't think I've ever taken a gun into a Vegas hotel room, but I could entirely see, a hunting trip or something where I may have. I mean, I know I've stopped in Vegas on my way up to Idaho, and usually I've got guns in my trunk when I do that, and I'd feel much more comfortable with them up in the room than I would sitting out in a, derelict parking lot. I don't know.
So usually, Steve, when you haul 7 suitcases up to your room, 7 suitcases are filled with sex toys and one clean pair of underwear and a toothbrush, right?
Usually. It's not usually filled with ammo and firearms, but yeah. So, I don't know. But sad deal. All our thoughts will be out with everyone out there. But anyhow, well, should we end on that note? Just a happy-go-lucky.
Thanks, Mike.
Way to be a downer,
I'm sorry.
bro.
I felt like it needed to be said here, Steve. I'm sure we got some Vegas listeners that were not totally ignorant of what's going on out there.
No, we got quite a few guys from Vegas, so
it is funny. It's hard to. I don't know if Joe, you saw. I made a couple of comments about the shooting on my Facebook page, and
I think I did actually run across one of them. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just hard to have a civil conversation about anything, because people have strong opinions on. All I said is well, whatever. I said this isn't. I'm like, he doesn't have a gun there. He has it feels insufficient to call it a gun or a rifle, where it's high tech assault military weaponry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, if your home's invaded, you can't use because it's too big and you need to put it on a rig. You know what I mean? I don't know. And then people right away are getting on and comparing me to Mao. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, I have very strong political opinions, so I don't use Facebook.
Right. Okay.
Keeps me way more sane.
I have a feeling Joe leans towards the left, but I don't know. It shall remain a mystery.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I was going to say, I doubt he leads right with our current administration.
Did you see? Sorry, Steve. I mean, Steve is now not as keen on Trump as he was before. Did you see in Puerto Rico handing out paper towels?
I did not see that.
Everyone's there's people coming on he's there handing out trying to show his help, and he hands one, and then he decides he's picking them up and practicing a jump shot, and just shooting them randomly around the room, he's at basketball practice. You see, people are saying it's like handing out T-shirts at a Quiet Riot concert or something.
What was he handing out paper towels for?
He was down there to help the relief effort and put a face on it.
Okay.
He met with all the politicians. Then he was helping unload a truck. And most people are just handing people stuff. And he's picking it and just throwing it into the crowd. You know what I mean? For whoever. Yeah. Just you got to see it. He just looks
It's just enormously inappropriate.
I mean, yeah, it's just so funny. I don't know.
It's only another 3 years, Mike.
We don't know that. Could be 7.
I got a running bet with a buddy of mine that he will not be impeached. I got 3-1, so he's got to give me $100 if he is impeached. I got to give him $300 if he, I get $100 if he's not impeached. He gets $300 if he is impeached. And I made this bet about a week after he got elected, and I'm really thinking I should have gone 2-1 instead of 3-1 because I think my odds are getting worse and worse as time goes on.
Yeah, I don't know if the legal. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Democrats are just going to probably focus most of their energy on coming up with a candidate who can beat them in 4 years.
I don't think that'll be difficult.
My brother, who holds out hope for impeachment, thinks that. Eventually, it's all Trump's, financial malfeasance. He hasn't paid taxes, and he's got this and that, and his sons are all of this is eventually, criminal in nature if it's not already. But I don't know if but you got a Republican Congress who's just,
Yeah,
well, he can't even get the Republican Congress on his side. You know what I mean? Like it
Doesn't mean they want him impeached.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
good point. Yeah.
I think unless the Democrats win back Congress in 2018, I don't think he's going to get impeached.
Really?
I actually have a bet, and I took the side of he won't be impeached.
And what
kind of,
odds did you lay?
I think I actually got even money.
Oh my God! Are you serious?
I think I'm trying to remember exactly what the details were, but
you got quite a.
I felt like I got way the better end of the deal.
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty sure I got even. I think I got even money, and I think it's only 2 years from like March.
Oh my God! Oh, fucking terrible.
So
at this.
yeah, I mean, I think I just found somebody who was very felt very certain that he was going to be impeached, but I think. As much as I would like to see that happen, I just don't think that's very likely.
Yeah.
Steve, by the way, is like a 50-1 favorite to get laid on this date here with his. Hold on, let me put on some soft music while I go out to the garden to make sure the tomatoes are ripe.
That's probably pretty accurate. Probably pretty accurate. We'll see. Time will tell. Less than 24 hours away. I'm excited. But well, thank you for coming on the show, Joe. This was fun.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Right on. Are you doing any coaching?
Yep, I am still doing coaching, mostly for live and online cash.
Okay, and if listeners wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
You can send me an email at joe.lapinta@gmail.com, or I believe my Twitter handle is joesmoe87.
87. Yeah, right on. We'll put the links in the show notes.
Okay.
Good deal. Well, thank you, gentlemen. And you guys can get your free 7-minute tilt buster. Click on the link in the show notes. Join TPE and use the codes HUP month, HUP quarter, or HUP year. Contact Joe for some cash game coaching. If you want to check out Mike, his links are in the show notes as well. Thank you for tuning in. And here is your weekly motivational speech.
There's a popular quote going around at the moment. The person you will be in 5 years is based on the books you read and the people you hang around with today. This is quite true, but it applies to everything else as well. The person you will be in the future is based on everything you do today, the people you hang around with, but more so the people you listen to, the opinions you believe, the books you read, or the videos you watch. All the information you take in, positive or negative, will affect your future. The workouts you do or don't do, that will show up in the future. The foods you eat today will affect your future on a visual and energy level. The same is true with your thoughts and information. What you feed your mind will shape your future. If all you do is take in garbage, guess what your future is going to be made up of? Commit to feed your mind with successful thoughts and surround yourself with those who have the same ambition. It doesn't matter where you get your information from. You may read, you may get it from podcasts or videos. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you keep feeding your mind every day